Hello, everyone. Hope that you are all doing well and that the first week went very well, not only in this subject, but in all the other subjects for you, and that you're excited about the program and looking forward to the rest of your classes. So, today, let's look at what we are going to do today. This is the second week. I like to do a recap of what we've done so far normally. And last week, what we looked at was an introduction you got to Xcode, the development environment we'll be using for iOS work. You also learned the basics of how to create an app, how to compile it, how to run it, how to open it in the simulator, uh, and all of that. You saw what an interface board is, the storyboard, and you designed a very simple view, one label, one button, but still you got it to do something. So that was good. And what you got it to do was handling of an event, the touch event on the button. You saw a little bit of the programming that we did in Swift. So now you have an idea of what Swift looks like. And we also, towards the end of the class, we talked about this whole philosophy of learning by doing. That's what we are going to be doing throughout the semester. We'll always be developing apps or doing things in order to learn the concepts, underlying concepts. And a reminder that there was a homework assignment. So ask yourselves if you read, it was a reading assignment. If you read the relevant chapters pointed out, if not, please go ahead and do that. So plan for today's class and actually the next class as well. So what we are going to do is we are going to cover various topics. We'll touch upon them. One of them is code readability and Swift basics. So what this means is Swift provides a certain mechanisms to put comments in the code. So how to use them to make your code more readable. And at the same time, in your program, the lines that are non-comments, the actual statements that you write in the program, what are the good naming conventions that make your program more readable, the actual code? So we'll touch upon that. We'll develop a new app and we'll continue exploring Xcode and the interface builder. And I'll show you a little bit about how to debug if you're running into problems. And while we are doing all these, additional topics will come up. They naturally come up. We'll look at those as well. So what is the app that you are going to work on this week and the next? It's actually a calculator app. You're going to develop your own calculator app. Exciting stuff. This will be the first sort of a utility, a functional app that you will be working on. And this is an in-class assignment. What that means is that at the end of the 2 classes that it will take us to finish this, you can submit this, you're to earn 5% weightage. So this is not an optional. This is an assignment that is 5% of your overall weightage of the semester. So for today, for this class, what I've done is I've taken a live class recording from a lecture I delivered on this exact same topic. And this I've done so that, let's look at the next slide. Basically, after recording the classes last week, I felt that there is a danger that the lectures can become very heavy and, monotonous with just one person talking all the time. So I looked at the recorded classes and then I found that if I edit them, if I add things, I like to use the Blackboard quite a bit when I'm teaching in a class. So the lecture, while it is recorded, it's only a screen recording. So the parts that I was writing on the Blackboard, I did add them. I added them to the recording and I removed, there are natural pauses, long gaps. If, for example, if a student was having a problem, I would go over to their workstation and help them out. And those long pauses, I have tried to remove as much as possible. So this, all of this, what it does is it gives you the feeling of an actual class like you're attending, because there are questions being asked. Perhaps you have the same questions. And there are problems that the students face that often I talk about from my screen. So everybody gets to listen to what the problem was and how it was solved. So all of that you will get from that, and it will hopefully feel more like an actual class. So before jumping into that, I have to point out that there are some very minor differences in Xcode interface. Basically, what has happened is every course that I've delivered on iOS, Xcode undergoes an update, and they've updated every couple of months. And sometimes it has changed, not sometimes, every semester that I've taught this course, during the semester, there has been a change that we had to adapt to. Buttons disappeared, new ones came, or the way they looked changed, and all of that. So I will just review some of these things for you, basically these four things. And in a way, I think it's a very good practice for you, because as you continue working on this, you will notice that you have to adopt to these changes yourself. So let's look at what I'm talking about. So here I have, in the upper part of the window, I have the latest version of Xcode running, and this is a still shot from the recording. And the key difference is, you see, whenever I talk about the library of objects, the widgets, the visual things like the labels, buttons, etc., that we are going to add to our storyboard. In the older version, it looked like this little button here. Uh, this was the library of objects. So whenever I click this, the equivalent in new version of Xcode is this plus library, it says. Okay, that's one difference. Another difference is that these two circles, this is what would open the assistant editor. And now the assistant editor is buried here under adjust editor options. You just have to choose assistant. Also, these little buttons here, these three, they would hide and show these side panels. So for example, when this is blue, this navigator is open. If I click it, it will turn gray and this will get hidden. So these buttons actually got moved. So this one now moved to here. This one moved here. And this is the one that opens this bottom area which displays messages, etc. This one you can toggle using this. So these are some of the differences. And you do have to note that all of these things do still the same. The work Xcode does is exactly the same. The intention, the purpose has not changed. And one last thing I want you to remember is, when you are creating your app, when you do new project, make sure that you choose app here. And then on the next screen, your name is here in the organization identifier, and choose the interface as storyboard. If it's selected as Swift UI by default, change it to storyboard. This is what it should look like. And these you can uncheck if they're checked. We are not going to be using these things right now. So that's sort of an overview and a little bit more than that about about this week's lectures. All the best.